Welcome to the Generation Podcast, an audio resource dedicated to a generation of young people who are committed to total surrender to God and total dependence on His power to reach the world with the gospel of Christ. This podcast is designed to strengthen and encourage through a series of Bible-based practical talks.
Welcome to the Generation Podcast. I'm Bobby Bosler, and I'm speaking to you today from Fairmont, West Virginia. And I hope I may be one of the first to say to each one of you young people, Merry Christmas. You know, Christmas is in the air. Here in West Virginia, we got absolutely dumped on this past weekend with about 7-8 inches of snow. I'm sure that's probably nothing compared to some of you all who are listening, especially in certain parts of the country. But since that time, and an interesting Sunday, I tell you, I'm learning new things all the time. A Sunday where most of the folks literally could not come. By the way, I've just got to say this. One of the things I'm getting used to here in West Virginia is snow. And I don't mean the white stuff that falls down out of the sky when it precipitates in certain temperatures. I'm talking about the unique cultural phenomenon that is snow in the mountains. See, for the last 20 plus years, really 22, I guess, I have spent most of my year, other than traveling and gallivanting around the country, spent most of the year in Wisconsin. And in Wisconsin, snow's not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. You can get where you need to go. You can get to the store. You can get out of your driveway. In fact, one time I was out in the snow with my wife, and I think I may have had a kid or two at that point. My dad calls me, and I'm on the phone, you know, driving down the street, whatever. And here's the thing, though, there was a blizzard happening at that time. And my dad said, "Bob, there's a blizzard going on there, isn't there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Why are you out? You should be at home." And I said, "Dad, if we stayed home whenever there was snow, we would never go anywhere. This is Wisconsin." So in Wisconsin, though, the thing is there really aren't hills, or at least not mountains. And so all you have to deal with is the matter of traction, right? But here in West Virginia, it ain't nothing but mountains, okay? In fact, to get out of my the square where I live, where the church is here, you've got a pretty significant hill to get up and out of, going right into a major busy street. So you kind of got to go and keep going and pray you don't get hit by anybody. But anyway, that being said, this past weekend was interesting. Again, I had to send out a message to our church and say, listen, we're going to have services here, but if you can't get out of your driveway, just stay home and watch the live stream. So it was a good time. But it is Christmas, and I've been very excited of holding some of our own Christmas events here at Fellowship Baptist Church. We've got a banquet coming up on Friday night, which by the time you hear this will have already been completed. We've been inviting people to come, and really excited just about the different Christmas events that we have going on. Definitely not to the scale of other things that I've been a part of in the past. But really my desire here is for our church to minister. And really, that's kind of the point of Christmas. For a variety of reasons here, I've been thinking about this verse here over the last little bit. And at first glance, this doesn't sound like a Christmas verse. And yet, when you put it in its context, it's probably one of the greatest Christmas verses you'll ever hear. Mark 10, verse 45, Jesus says to his disciples, "For even the Son of Man came." Now, before I read the rest of the verse, and you probably know the rest of the verse, but I just remind you, Jesus came. That is what we're celebrating right now. Jesus, who was the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Jesus, the one who had created heaven and earth and all that is in them. Jesus, the one who will rule and reign over all creation, who's the head of the church, who is, he's the Lord of all. He came. He came and he was born in a manger, born in either a cave or a cattle stall, depending on how nostalgic you want to be about all of that. Jesus came and was born as a baby. He was recognized as the coming king by the wise men. They gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They worshiped him. The shepherds that were watching their flocks by night, they saw the angels come and sing words of praise and adoration for this baby who was born as the King of the Jews. They came and they bowed down and worshiped him. Listen, friends, Jesus deserved to be worshiped, and he deserves to be worshiped. He has the title, he has the role, he has every reason to demand that we get down on our knees, that we stop what we're doing, that we surrender completely and entirely to him. He has the right to all of that, young people. And yet this verse tells us why he came. For even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many. If I could maybe title this podcast episode, I don't know if I'll use this as the actual title, but here's what I'm burdened about, young people. As I sit down with this microphone in front of my face, I'm burdened. And I'm burdened about this. Don't have a selfish Christmas. Honestly, I feel like if I have a Christmas episode, if that's where I'm at in the lineup, that's what I talk about just about every year when I talk about Christmas. Oh, yes, Jesus is the gift. There's no doubt about it. That's a thing that we can celebrate here this Christmas. But if you ask the question why Jesus came and what he expects us to do in light of his coming, that's this. Jesus didn't come to be served. You know, I'm talking to young people, maybe college students. You have busted your hump all semester long serving. Maybe at your school, maybe in your church, maybe you were off at college and laboring real hard to get good grades and to win people to Christ and to train. And then you come home. Then you're off school, teenagers, right? And here's the temptation to shift in. It's all about me, me, me mode. Can I tell you something, young people? That's not why Jesus came, and it's not why you ought to be in your home. I'm talking to young people right now. You came home, and the first thing you did was get back into your old patterns of selfish thinking and selfish behavior. Maybe some of you grew up, and when you were at home, it was all about a party. You were just there to do your thing, to have fun. And listen, I'm not saying you shouldn't have fun. I'm not saying you shouldn't do some self-care, maybe sleep in a little bit here and there. But why are you home? Why are you off school? I'll tell you why you're not. You're not off school to be ministered unto. You're not off school to take a break and live your own life and to be selfish and entertainment-oriented, young people. You are home to serve. Christmas is about remembering Jesus, who came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life. Listen, young people, maybe you ought to give your break for the service of the King. Maybe you ought to give your break for the service of your siblings. Maybe you ought to give your life this break for the service of your parents. Maybe you ought to give your life this break for the service, for ministering to your neighbors, to your community, to and with your church. Don't you dare, young people, go home and live for yourself. Don't spend this Christmas break selfishly pursuing your own pleasures. It says, for even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto. Oh, we can come home with an entitlement mentality. It's all about me. Mom and Dad, I've given my time. It's time for you to serve me. Hey, siblings, I've been gone. It's time for you to do what I want to do. I say this kindly, but don't be a jerk this Christmas. But minister. Serve, give yourself to laboring with those around you. Can I say this even as a pastor now from a very different perspective than I've ever had before? It's wonderful to see college students come home. And I'll tell you, they're sorely missed. If you're a college student and you've been off at Bible college and you go home, folks are waiting for you to get there. They're excited that you're home. And the greatest way you can disappoint your family and your church is to come home and just be all about yourself. Now, I'm thankful for a group of young people that is not that way here at Fellowship Baptist Church. I've been thrilled, honestly. As a solo pastor, there's a lot of things I'm learning, and one of the things I'm learning is I cannot do this thing all by myself. I need help. And so to have some college students that have come home and willing to literally hit the ground running and help us with this Christmas banquet. I've got one who is helping me organize the schedule, and others are helping us out with some special music in this Christmas banquet. And it's just wonderful to see young people come home and serve. But I'm sure with any of us, it's easy to shift into that wrong mentality. And again, Jesus had a right to be served. He has the right to be served. But he didn't take it. He came to serve. And you may think you're entitled to a break. You might think you're entitled to a little bit of a self-serving time. And maybe you are, but don't take it. For even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many. You know, if you're surrendered to Christ, you'll give yourself to his cause, to his purposes, and you'll give your life in a way that will benefit many, many people all around you. This is total surrender, total dependence to reach the world with the gospel. Thanks so much for listening, and Merry Christmas.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Generation Podcast. If you've been blessed or helped in any way by this episode or any other episodes, please consider sharing what God has done in your life. Your testimony could be exactly what someone else needs to take their own step out of the boat. To share your testimony, please visit thegeneration.org/testimony. That's THEEgeneration.org/testimony.